Hey guys, welcome back. So this is gonna be day 3. Just got up a couple hours ago, did a little meal prep, and now we're on our way to the gym. I didn't really have time to think about what to chat about today on like side subject, I guess, kind of things like. Um, I did kind of want to spend some time to talk about kind of my experience so far in the healthcare field and my experiences with paramedicine and teaching and stuff like that, and how I think it'll relate to my med school application. But I'll probably do that after the gym. So today's gonna be a leg day. It's gonna be mainly like my accessory day, I call it. So it's gonna be kind of more leg curl, leg extensions, probably some uh, maybe leg presses, calf raises, glute focus things. Not a lot of compound exercises. And that's just mainly so that I don't overexert them and get my legs too sore, because tomorrow will be an upper day, and then, well, actually, that's a lie. Tomorrow will be a day off because it's a holiday here in Canada, so gyms will be closed tomorrow, but Tuesday will be upper body, and Wednesday will be lower body again. So if I go too heavy or do too many compound movements, I find I can't do a lot on my lower body focus day. So I like to try and make today more of isolated exercises and focus on, muscle squeezing, activation, stuff like that. What else can I talk about? I only have a couple minutes before we get to the gym. Feeling a bit drained today. I didn't really get much sleep after night shift. It was a pretty steady night shift. So we'll see how we feel at the gym today. Sometimes I think about, skipping, like if I have a kind of a crappy sleep after a night shift, but I find I kind of force myself to go as work's twofold. It kind of lets me start my day and, get a little caffeine in me, and kind of jumpstarts my day for the next shift. And it also keeps me in routine. I find if I start, making excuses for why I'm not going to go to the gym, it can be a slippery slope. So go in, see what's going on. Doesn't look like it's too busy today, thankfully. We'll get some of those exercises in. I'm going to start doing cardio a little bit more of a lengthy cardio session before my weightlifting, I think. Normally, I don't really like that because I find it tires me out a bit. I don't really... I'm not a huge fitness cardio kind of guy, so it does wear me out. But in the spirit of, losing weight and cutting back some of this fat, I think it's probably smart. Since I'm not really able to do multiple trips to the gym or block out multiple times a day to do workouts, I think what I'll do is I'll start doing, probably close to 30 minutes of cardio before I do any weight training. In that way, it forces me to get it in, and it's kind of like the carrot and the stick. So in order to get to the weight training stuff, I have to get through the cardio. So if I do it first, I'll be less inclined to skip it. I think I'll force myself to be here on time to get the cardio in so I can get the weight training done. Anyways, I'll finish up this gym session. I'll let you know how it went, see what we did, and check back in. Oh, man. Okay. My legs are cooked. So, did the cardio. I'm glad we did that first, because if I were to do it after the leg day, I definitely wouldn't have done it. So, I think that's going to be the new thing. We'll try and do 30 minutes of cardio and then lift. And I'm hoping I can remain pretty strict with my showing up to the gym on time so that I can do both. If I'm starting to slack on getting to the gym early enough in the morning for my day shifts, might be, well, I might have to start doing like an after work gym idea, but that's gonna probably throw a wrench in a lot of my other plans, so not the best idea. So I think, getting up in half an hour earlier should be a doable thing. So like I mentioned before, leg day was leg extensions, leg curls, did some sissy squats, Smith machine, calf raises, and then finished off with some glute bridges or hip thrusts, weighted hip thrusts. I don't know what the actual name for it is. I always call them glute bridges or hip thrusts. So legs are pretty sore. Definitely got some lactic acid buildup, so that's a good sign that we did what we needed to get done for leg day. So rest of the afternoon is going to be getting things prepared for the last night shift tonight. Hopefully it's a smooth one, but your guess would be as good as mine as that's going to go. Usually if I try to plan on it being a quiet night, the word you're not supposed to say in healthcare, but if I plan on it, or if I bring stuff to work on, or if I have projects I'm working on at work, it never seems to come to fruition. So I usually go to work with no expectations on what the day is going to be like. I know that I joked about the whole thing in healthcare about not saying quiet about a shift. Usually not a superstitious person, but I think last night I shouldn't have said that when I was recording that first part of the video yesterday. Definitely one of the busier night shifts I've had in a while. On the bright side, today's a holiday, which means I'm going to have a bit of a pass on the gym today, which is kind of like bittersweet. Kind of works out because it was such a long night. I'm still going to try and get some cardio in today, so it'll likely be going for a walk or something like that. We'll see. We will see what the kiddos want to do. I'm going to try and sneak home and get a couple hours of sleep maybe. First things first, I'm going to go pick up some snacks for the house. So I kind of talked about yesterday, having to reprioritize, or 1 second here.
Hi, what can I get for you?
Hi, can I just get a 20-pack of Timbits, please?
Sure. Can I get you anything else?
That's everything.
All right, it's going to be 5:30.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Having to reprioritize your day based on, things that change, especially with shift work and working in healthcare, can be pretty volatile. Showing up late after shift because you got called to overtime or there's a late call, overtime shifts where you get called in for emergencies. There's a lot of things that, it kind of forces you to reschedule your day. Hi.
5:30?
Just on debit, please.
There you go.
Thanks.
Oh, oops.
Have a good day.
You as well. Hi, what can I get for you?
Holy man. What is going on here today? So, a little bit easier to reprioritize things or to reschedule things if you're just concerned with your own schedule. It gets a little more tricky when you're worried about getting your kids to school or making sure things line up with your spouse's schedule as well. So that's definitely a tricky thing with working emergency services or healthcare in general. I think nursing kind of go through the same things with late calls and call-ins and stuff like that. So definitely something I think when I look at like my med school application and even tackling going to school, working full-time, it's something I feel like I've had enough experience in the past 10 years or so that it's kind of a skill that I've been forced to acquire, especially maybe like the first 4 or 5 years of my career wasn't such a huge, didn't have as much of an impact because, it was only me and my wife at that point, but, having kids and having to start, shuffling things around to make sure there was somebody that watched them while we were at work or get them to and from school. And now we're doing, sports and hockey and stuff like that. It's, I think definitely something that I think a lot more about when I'm, planning my week. So I'm thinking, these kind of things are what would translate well into a med school application as far as experiences I've lived. The tricky thing I'm finding though with med school, and I think kind of some shortcomings I had during my previous interviews and applications, is because I have a background in emergency healthcare and medicine, I've put a lot of focus on, hospital or emergency care physicians and, kind of trying to imagine what that would look like for me. But the big focus right now, especially in Ontario, is, family medicine. So family doctors, clinics, really trying to get, especially the elderly population, but we have a lot of priority populations in our area that are underserved as far as, even just a primary care physician where they can at least be seen a few times a year to have their medications checked up or have physicals and follow-ups that way. So I think this time around when I look at my application, I'm going to try and lean less from emergency healthcare on those fronts and more into family medicine, but still, use the prioritizing and work-life balance skills, I guess you could say, from my emergency healthcare background to, discuss workload management, work-life balance, things like that. So definitely like bittersweet going through these experiences, these late days or busy shifts. But I think for me, well, I think for anyone, but it's definitely experiences you can learn from and kind of gain a bit of perspective from them. So yeah, my day today, probably not going to be a whole lot of recording just because I don't really like to involve my kids with YouTube stuff. That might change. I don't really want it to be a regular thing anyways. So might be a check-in later on in the day, just if we end up getting some cardio in or something like that. But other than that, this is going to be a short clip, kind of maybe a prequel to some of the med school application discussions that might come up in a following video this week. Other than that, I'm going to get home, probably finish off some of my food that I didn't get to eat last night, make sure all my macros are covered for my 12-hour window, and get some Z's. And don't worry, the Timbits are not for me. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.